But what is truly scandalous, what is shocking, what is a true blot on the American character is the rate of unemployment among people with disabilities. 63%. 18 years after the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And one of its primary goals, there were 4 goals, one of its primary goals was economic self-sufficiency. People with disabilities want to work, but because of work disincentives, the lack of supportive services, transportation problems, many people with disabilities who want to work simply can't get the job. Many of them are well educated, they want to work, but everything is just geared against them. 63% of people with disabilities are unemployed. That is shocking. I kept thinking it's going to get better and better. It hasn't gotten better. What I implore you to do is to use your bully pulpit, your position, when you're sitting around that cabinet table with the president there, to start talking with your Secretary of Transportation, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Social Security, CMS, and all these other people, to form a group that will truly tackle this problem for once and for all of how we get people with disabilities into the employment sector. And I hope you would commit yourself to do that. And if you have a comment on that, I would yield for you for any observation on that.
Senator Harkin, thank you for that question and your comments. I too have a great deal of concern for our disabled community and the fact that it even hits harder, in my opinion, with those of color. And we don't have services that are adequately represented throughout the country. And especially in hard economic times, we're finding that employers are having to lay people off. And sometimes they may be the first ones to go. I would hope that we could incentivize our local small business employers and medium-sized employers and help them understand, give them the tools that perhaps the Department of Labor has not been able to provide in the past, so that we can make those adjustments for these individuals that want to work, that are qualified, but don't have a safe place to land. And that would be something that I would really enjoy working with you on. As I said earlier in my testimony, I'm very concerned with the returning veterans, young men in particular, and young women that are coming back, that are also disabled, that also need to have some reassurance that they will also be re-employed. And I know there are some programs out there, but we need to sufficiently expand upon those programs.
Well, let me speak to that. I have a nephew who is severely paraplegic. He gets up in the morning, he has a nurse that gets him ready, takes care of him, gets him ready to go, and he goes off and goes to work. He comes home at night, has another nurse there to take care of him, getting ready for bed and stuff like that. He lives independently by himself. How is he able to afford? He doesn't come from a wealthy family at all. How is he able to afford this? He was injured in the military. And God bless the Veterans Administration. They've come and they make sure that he gets all those supportive services so he can go to work. Why should it be just if you get injured in the military? There are a lot of people who get injured in car wrecks and other kinds of things that have the same situations as my nephew Kelly, but they don't have that kind of supportive services. And so they aren't able to get to work. And so the VA has done a great job in addressing this. But it's Americans with disabilities who have not been in the military who really need the help and the support. Now, let me just, one last thing. 14 years ago, I put $1.5 million in the Department of Labor for ILAB, International Labor Bureau, International Labor Affairs Bureau, to start focusing on child labor around the world. They have come up with 7 volumes. This is just the first one, The Use of Child Labor in U.S. Manufactured and Mined Imports. There's 7 others on agriculture, apparel, consumer laborers, things like that. They're great investigative documents that the Department of Labor have come up with about the use of child labor around the world. I can say that for the last several years, our involvement with the International Program for the Elimination of Child Labor has been barely kept alive. I want to publicly commend the career people in ILAB, in the International Labor Affairs Bureau at the Department of Labor, the career people who have kept this going, who have tried to continue to fulfill the mandate that we gave them. The political people, quite frankly, there have not. I hope you will focus on this, find people to run that bureau who will enhance it and continue to push forward on the elimination of child labor around the globe. Thank you.
Senator Harkin, thank you for your comments. As a member of Congress, I had a short period of time to work on something very much related to this with the situation across the border, 5 minutes from our U.S. border in the city of Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, where we found that a number of young women, teenagers, 16 years of age, were having to work in the maquiladores, the factories there. Some are international corporations, some were U.S. corporations. Nevertheless, they were being abused. They were not being paid adequately, maybe perhaps $30 a week, 4 shifts, 12-hour stints, whatever. Horrible conditions, and something that I agree the public needs to know about. So I would work very earnestly with you to see how we can try to accomplish these goals so that we provide the best and appropriate information so that we can take a look at what is happening globally and what interaction we are having with these various entities that are either providing goods to our country and to obviously explore and hopefully minimize any exploitation of young children. And I agree with you in principle that is something we need to do.
Thank you very much.